On September 11th, we know that there's a fair amount of activity that was going on at the compound that day in Benghazi. Chris Stevens was active that day. The Turkish ambassador had come to visit Ambassador Stevens at the compound that day. We know from eyewitness testimony on the ground, contemporaneous in time, from the RSO who was there, that the Turkish ambassador, when he was there and all through the day, there were no sightings, no indication in any way of any gathering of any protesters around the compound around Benghazi. There was closed-circuit television. There was the February 17th Brigade. There were people there offering security. No one at any time prior to the attack gave any indication that there was a protest going on at the compound. The RSO himself said there was nothing going on at the compound. The chief of station in Tripoli had no indication of any protests going on. The political officers had no indication of anything going on. The GRS officers coming from the annex over, no one, anyone involved in this situation, no one had any indication of a protest going on. And yet, the Obama administration allowed its spokesman for the first time in the first public disclosure 5 times on the Sunday morning shows, made a false narrative that a YouTube video was the reason that explained that there were protesters that we now know are apparitions, never existed, were there. This is a false narrative. That's why this is not a small issue. This is a big issue, Mr. Morell. Because we have emails in front of us, cables in front of us that don't lie. That's not a conspiracy. And the emails and the cables are very clear about what we knew and when we knew it. We know that while the attack was going on, that there was already from the State Department at 4:05 p.m., an alert that was put out from the State Department that the compound was under attack. The second was at 6:08 p.m. that Ansar al-Sharia, an al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group operating in Libya, claimed credit for the attack. We also know that a cable that was sent on September 12th by CIA station chief in Libya reported eyewitnesses confirmed the participation of Islamic militants and made clear that U.S. facilities in Benghazi had come under attack. Even your first draft from the CIA prepared, distributed internally, showed, this was 11:15 a.m., we have date stamps on it, that the CIA and the U.S. government knew that Islamic extremists with ties to al-Qaeda participated in the attack. All of that we knew. What changed is when the talking points prepared again by your office, when those talking points intersected with the White House. And those organizations within the White House included senior State Department officials, senior national security officials, all of those that you talked to us about, Robert Cordillo, Alan, Matt, Jake, Mark, Lisa, Ben, all of these, the only change that happened were senior White House officials. And we know from the emails, particularly from Victoria Nuland, that has been referenced by my colleagues, from the date stamp time, again at 9:24 p.m., Ms. Nuland wrote that the problem remains. Her superiors were unhappy. The changes that were made did not resolve all my issues or those of my building leadership. We also know Ben Rhodes from the National Security Foreign Policy further advised the group. The issues will be resolved in a meeting of top administration officials the following morning at the White House. At the White House. Saturday, before Ms. Rice went on the Sunday morning shows. They were resolved all right. They were resolved in the favor of the White House. And what's really odd here is that the false narrative that was given on Sunday morning on the Sunday morning shows somehow strangely added up with the view of the White House 6 weeks before the presidential election that al-Qaeda was nearly defeated and the global war on terror was over. Everyone on this committee knows that wasn't true, that al-Qaeda wasn't defeated. Everyone on this committee, both sides of the aisle, knows that the global war on terror was not over. That was the narrative of the White House in the run-up to the presidential election. How weird that ultimately was reflected in the talking points against all knowledge from people on the ground and knowledge this committee had. That's why we're upset, because the American people, from my perspective, were intentionally misled by this administration as to what happened in Benghazi.